Today I'm going to be looking at two new swords from Krieger Armory, the Arbiter and the Harbinger. These two faders were a follow-up from the prototype that Krieger had sent me previously. You can find the link to that video below. So in one of my last videos, I had done a review of the Krieger Armory prototype Longsword fader. While I loved that sword aesthetically, it did have a few concerns, one of those being how stiff the flex was. After giving Krieger Armory my honest review, they had gone back and they had redesigned their swords. So now they have two new offerings, the Arbiter and the Harbinger, which I'm really excited to be showing you guys today. These two new faders have the flex adjusted, and also the tip style has been adjusted as well to improve safety for sparring and drilling and competing. So now enough talking, let's go check out some swords. Let's start by looking at the Arbiter. I'll include the specs and dimensions below. So here I have the Arbiter. My first impression of this sword was spectacular. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. I know, I've said that already about Krieger Armory's prototype. This really just set the bar even higher. The most important thing though is that they seem to have addressed the flex issue. So let's take a closer look at the sword and also see how it handles. I love this faceted pommel, and the little bits of damage that you see on it, the little scuffs and stuff, that's from me. When the sword came to me, it was in really exceptional condition. I love the blackened finish on it, and you can see here the peen on the pommel is also really flush as well, which I like. You can see the hilt wrap on here is also really well done. I think that's one of the things that really struck me as beautiful for Krieger. The hilt wraps just look very artful, and you have a lot of options to choose from for colors on their website as well. The hilt itself is also aesthetically very beautiful. It's got the wasted grip, and it has a little bit of a ridge down the middle. It sort of adds a geometric look to it. It is really stunning. The nice thing too about this hilt design is it sits very comfortably in the palms and feels very ergonomic. The Arbiter fader that I received from Krieger Armory features the straight crossguard with the blackened or darkened finish. It also features that signature twist in the crossguards that Krieger Armory is known for. The length of the crossguard is actually comparable to the Albion Meyer, which is usually longer than most fetters, and I really like this for extra hand protection. I also advised Krieger Armory on their tip shape, so here you can see they've updated it. All of the new swords coming out will have this wider and flatter tip that is a lot more safe for sparring. It's this Hilt design that makes the Arbiter. Everything else is optional, from the crossguard to the finish. The Arbiter's Hilt design is swept and low profile. It's very small, and you can see the angle of it is meant to deflect cuts away from the hands. I love how nimble this sword is. I didn't really have to fight it at all. It was just smooth, flowed really nicely, and the balance was awesome. Now let's look at the Harbinger, Krieger Armory's second offering. Alright, so we've got the Harbinger here. The big difference between the Harbinger and the Arbiter is the Hilt style. My Harbinger has an upswept crossguard, whereas my Arbiter had the straight crossguard. Now, of course, if you decide that you want the straight crossguard instead, you can always go with that. That is customizable. Same with the hilt wrap color, the length, all of it is customizable. The only difference between the Arbiter and the Harbinger is the hilt. One of my favorite things about this sword and the Arbiter is it sort of invoked a Melkor feel for me, and if anybody's a Silmarillion fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not quite Mordor, not quite Valar, somewhere in between. It's that dark, gothic beauty. It's got these like sharp edges, but like this beautiful like dark edginess. Oh, I love it. So let's take a closer look at some of these other options and the Harbinger Hilt. This is an example of Krieger Armory's upswept crossguard option. Again, you could go with the straight option if you preferred. What I love again is just that nice little twist, But the other thing too is with their crossguards, they're all hardened and double tempered, meaning they're going to be able to withstand some pretty heavy hits without bending or warping. The Harbinger's Hilt design is taller and wider than the Arbiter, but it's just as effective at defending the hands from incoming strikes. The Harbinger is a work of art, and with these new revisions like the flex and the new tip, I think it's going to be a really great competition sword. But with COVID, I'm not going to be for sure for a little bit. However, let's see how it moves and feels. While I'm trying to be relatively nice to Bob and not hitting him too hard, I did really enjoy how nicely this sword flowed. I really like that I'm able to maneuver this sword quickly and swiftly so I can do things like feints without having to fight the weight of the sword. So this is the original prototype fader. You can see how stiff it is. This is the new Harbinger. And this is the Arbiter. I really didn't expect it to flex that much. In summary, I think these new swords have really hit the mark. Krieger Armory honestly and openly addressed the previous issues with the prototype and then delivered above and beyond with these new Arbiter and Harbinger offerings. If you're interested in my thoughts on the Krieger Armory arming sword, stay tuned for my next video. As always, guys, thanks again for watching. It's always a pleasure, and check the description below for a special discount code.